Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. Dagan back with you on Echo Base TV, and I am bringing you the very last one for all my Halloween stuff. This is older, one of my absolute favorites, and it is a vampire story. At the very end of this one, there is also the music that inspired the book, The Blood Witch. So I hope you enjoy. This one's called Vampires from the New World. Here we go.
The tall sail docked near sunset. Only the pilot was seen. Though he faded from sight, lost in unholy steam. 'Twas a warm summer night, yet a thick fog rolled off the water. The ship to hide the wharf in shadow and unhallowed fodder. And the moon, it found no power. A dark form emerged, soon flanked by two more. A trio of silence, grace, and power through the fog took form. Beggars and vagabonds hid their faces and forms. They knew and slunk for safer dorms. The fog, thick and cold, brought an unwary cop to the scene. His eyes only seen shadows. His heart beat twice, then his eyes saw clear. A man of stature and unbending confidence, in arms of two women of beauty, was near. And his feet to flee found no power. He looked too long, looked too hard. But in an instant, the beauty to the left was now close and intent on harm. He felt her breath, hot and moist. He saw her eyes with hypnotic calling. Her skin, no whiteness could compare, came cheek to cheek, and he discovered his folly. Paralyzed, hypnotized. The woman controlled his every motion, but he could see, to his right, the man and woman still standing without emotion. A devil's grin on tilted head told him all he needed. He was doomed as his blood started to flow from his neck, hotly bleeding. His head in her hand, eyes wide open, his strength was draining, and his life soon followed. At midnight, the bell tolled the hour. He fell, drained and dead, a quiet, lonely fall. The woman returned to her trio, blood still marked her lips, and to her chin did fall. Her companions, without hesitation, licked clean from her lips the blood, no longer life-sustaining. Before them, all London sleeps, their new home, their new pantry, for the vampires of the New World.
So far with Star Wars Visions, yes, I'm talking a little bit about what I've seen, and actually, it may look good. They've done a lot of things to showcase what they can do for the creators. Very good effort. I do particularly like what they've done. Unfortunately, it's just not grabbing me. So, it, mm, yeah, because right now, um, before I go on that, episode one, okay, um, I thought it was contrived, overused, uh, but it was original. Uh, However, I thought the script had little picks and little mistakes in them. That's episode one. Uh, Episode two, same thing. Sorry, I try to get into it. I'm like, oh no. It's just, so episode three, all the same. Oh, the graphics are great. The voiceovers are great. And it's very pleasing. However, I'm not enjoying it. It's just so far. It's just um, episode four. Well, I can't say anything about episode four because I haven't seen it yet. I saw a little bit of it, and what I saw, uh, what was it? The something wife. Um, I know what they're going for, but I think it's just a joke. Um, but good effort for them to go through a whole series of dedicated fan service. So definitely, that's a good thing, but also a bad thing at the same time. Just because Disney and Lucasfilm are doing what they're doing, you have to think of it as a different way. It's like they want to take your ideas, steal them, and make it their own. So that way they can actually screw you over sometime down the road. That's what they will. That's what they will do. And as a creator myself, I would never give them that kind of footage. It's just, oh, I just want to be in two fan films, uh, and in between movies or just working in a theater. Yeah, well, kind of an action. Just, so overall, I'm just not impressed with Visions. It's just like, no. It's just, sorry about it. I know you want to defend it. However, with me, no. But like everything, like as I said, it's the scripts. The script is not all that great. It's just, and everyone's going, ooh, ooh. I'm like, it's okay. It's just like everyone has their opinions. Even I have my own. Um, So when someone actually puts down the new trilogy and claim that it's woke, when it's not, I know there were issues on the behind the scenes, but in the end, they're very pleasing. A lot of people are hurt over nothing, and they're not woke at all. Says no, they're not. Says so, but if you see it, okay, fine, that's you. That's just not me. It's just, no, I enjoy them. If you don't, well, that's okay too. It's just, yeah, anyway, you know who I am. Have a good day, everyone. And always remember, never, ever go to bed mad. Just hit that like button and subscribe.
Hey, what's going on everyone? I'm Jake James Lugo, and welcome to the channel, where you'll find some of the most fair and honest game reviews out here.
Hello there.
And we're back again in the galaxy far, far away, talking about a Star Wars game that not a lot of people have really talked about. And it's weird too, because this game takes place in the Star Wars universe, but presents things in a very unique and different way that I think some of you out there might find pretty interesting. Like anybody else who follows the Star Wars galaxy, I love the ships and different vehicles in the movies, but we rarely get to see anything that's focused on vehicular combat within a galaxy far, far away that's not involving space combat. That's where this weird game comes in. Star Wars Demolition was released for the original PlayStation in November of 2000. It also came out on the Sega Dreamcast a month later. This game takes a lot of inspiration from games like Twisted Metal and Vigilante 8, but puts everything within the Star Wars universe. What's interesting is how it blends together elements of the original trilogy and the prequel trilogy together, which just saw the release of Episode 1, The Phantom Menace, a year prior. Attack of the Clones was already in production during this time for a 2002 release. Demolition is set during the time of Episode 6, Return of the Jedi, but does not focus on any of the heroes we know from the movies. Instead, we get to peer into the underworld led by Jabba the Hutt. While the Galactic Civil War rages on, the Empire has put a ban on pod racing, which forces Jabba to find a different means of entertainment to satisfy his loyal subjects. He comes up with a deadly new contest that brings together different combatants to fight each other in vehicles of their choosing, basically a total free-for-all in ships. This brings together the likes of Bounty Hunter Boba Fett, Jedi Hunter Aurra Sing, Smuggler Wade Vox, and many other characters together to partake in Jabba's event. There's not much story in here beyond that. Everything that happens in this game is considered not canon whatsoever. We do get a few callbacks and fan service to the entire saga, however, up to that point. But does Star Wars Demolition deliver on creating something unique and fun? Well, let's just say that it's definitely something. So I'm cool seeing all these different characters that we don't get to really see in the movies and are much more part of like Legends or Extended Universe material, especially characters like Aurra Sing and Wade Vox. That to me is pretty interesting. At the same time too, I also love seeing all the different ships, which are familiar in some ways, but then others are just completely unique and different that we just never seen before. Just the blending of the two I think is pretty darn cool. And I also like the idea of blending some of the original trilogy stuff, particularly in the timeline and when this takes place, with that of the prequel era, which at this point in time, it was 2000, so only Episode 1 had come out. We didn't get anything from like Attack of the Clones or Revenge of the Sith, which happens later on. But at least at that time frame, we still had a real good love and real appreciation for what had happened in the original trilogy, and kind of blending it with this new stuff that was happening then, that was pretty awesome. Now with that being said, I would have loved to see a little bit more of a cohesive plot that tied everything together really nicely. Granted, we get individual stories for all these characters. It's very similar in the way that it's done with Twisted Metal or even any other fighting game out there. But still, while it's cool seeing their individual stories, I want one main plot to follow that ties everybody together or brings everybody together in some way. Granted, we kind of get a little bit of that with the opening crawl, but it's not really a story that we could just follow through from beginning to end. Alright, with all that to the side, let's talk about gameplay, because a lot of people don't really know a lot about this game, so they're definitely going to want to hear this, and if I'm being totally honest with you, this thing is something. If you've played any Twisted Metal game before, then you know exactly what to expect from Star Wars Demolition. My problem is that everything done in here just isn't all that good.
I have a bad feeling about this.
I have a bad feeling about this.
I have a bad feeling about this.
I've got a bad feeling about this.
I have a bad feeling about this.
Oh, I have a bad feeling about this.
For real, a lot of the gameplay in this game is buggy, inconsistent, and possibly super unbalanced. You have different game modes that pit you against one or many opponents, with everybody driving their own vehicles and using weapons to take everybody else out. You can use lasers, proton torpedoes, thermal detonators, and many other different weapons that you see within Star Wars. That's pretty cool, but the driving and the targeting in this game is absolutely horrible. The handling of every ship is garbage, and the hit detection is super wonky. On top of that, the damage you take might feel like it's tipped in favor of your opponents, even on lower difficulty settings. It just feels like most of my weapons are ineffective in some cases against my opponents, even after I've bombarded them with fire. But what bugs me the most about this game is how meager it feels with the different game modes. You have your standard battles and a tournament mode, which is fine, but the droid hunter and high stakes modes feel mediocre and shoehorned in here for no other reason other than padding. By the time I was done with a few battles, I felt like I had seen everything that there was to see. I wish that there was a story mode with a plot that explored the characters like Wade Vox a little bit better than what we see in tournament mode. What we have in here just comes off as very shallow and uninspired. That might be a little harsh to say, but that's how everything looks to me in this game.
I don't believe that. And you're sounding like a separatist.
So let me be clear about something. I like that there's a unique style to every single character that you could play as. They have their own unique weapons and little abilities here and there. But as far as the game as a whole, the way that it runs and if it's like, stable overall, there's a whole bunch of stuff that's wrong with this. Like, just some of the hit detection is all over the place, some of the damage is unbalanced, there's a lot of other little bugs and glitches that I found pop up like throughout my experience. It's just all over the place in general, and it's a shame because this concept is awesome. This concept is unique and different, again, in comparison to other Star Wars games out there. This is just basically taking what worked for Twisted Metal and Carmageddon and just putting Star Wars characters in it. It should be awesome by default, but just the execution here isn't all that great. Real talk, I say all of this in the interest of fairness, because there is a lot of problems with this game. Even though it's a PlayStation 1 game, but still, there was a lot of other PlayStation 1 games back in the day that ran and just were designed much better. But if we are being fair and honest here, there is some cool stuff in the form of unlockables. And cheats too. Now lucky for us, there's some bonus content to unlock and explore in here. However, it's not as good as you might think.
What?
Here's what I mean. Playing through the tournament mode with any character unlocks a CG video of their victory, or shows what exactly happens when they lose if you get a game over. This is pretty neat because you don't really see that in other games. It adds a little extra flair that I appreciate. However, the videos are more akin to fighting game endings, like short epilogues given for each character, nothing more or less. Besides that, there are some unlockable characters, but it is a pain to get all of them. You need to finish tournament mode with at least 10,000 credits with different characters. Doing this can unlock Lobot from The Empire Strikes Back, Bosch from Return of the Jedi, and even Darth Maul from Episode 1.
At last we will reveal ourselves to the Jedi. At last we will have revenge.
This is pretty cool, and there's a few others as well on top of that, but I just wish that they weren't so annoying to get. Making sure you have enough credits at the end of tournament mode is pretty annoying and a little bit tedious. Beyond that, there's no other bonuses. There are, however, cheat codes with a variety of effects, so if you want to play around with some of the physics of the game or simply unlock everything from the start, then you can do so. If I'm being a little bit nitpicky here, I do wish that there were some other maps that were maybe unlockable besides the characters that we got, as well as also stuff like concept art or other promos, like visual material that we could see that kind of just added on to like some of the rewards that you get for completing some of the different modes in the game. I think that would have been cool, and it feels like it would have added just a little bit extra for us, especially having to go through all that stuff to get those other characters, because they are just a little bit tedious to earn. But beyond the CG movies that you get for completing the tournament mode with every single character, and also especially if you lose with them, there's not much else here. It's just kind of meh, and if you use the cheats to unlock everything, it just loses a lot of its charm. It's just kind of whatever at that point. This is a thing with a lot of older games, especially in the PlayStation era, or PlayStation 1 era, I should say. But still, like, when it comes to a Star Wars game, like, there's got to be a little bit more of a pull here to keep you invested for a long time. Besides the cool concept, besides, like, the appearance of Darth Maul and things like that, I do wish there was just a little bit more to make me want to play it even longer beyond this. So when looking at everything there is to see with this unique Star Wars game, can I recommend that you check out Star Wars Demolition on the PlayStation? Honestly, I say avoid this one completely. While the idea of vehicular combat in the Star Wars universe is a very cool concept, the execution here I feel wasn't that great. The driving and the balance of the combat is all over the place, and I really wish that there would have been some adjustments to make it better. I'm not gonna lie though, I would love to see this concept revisited again in a brand new game. I really feel like this style of game can work out very good when handled very well. But in here, things just didn't come together like it should have. The Force is not strong with this one. And there you go, everyone. Those are my overall thoughts about Star Wars Demolition on the original PlayStation. It's also available for Sega Dreamcast. It's a shame, too, because this concept, this idea is awesome. It could be a lot of fun, and on paper, this should be an epic win. But in execution and practice, now on both of those consoles, it's just kind of whatever. But at least personally for me, I'm glad I got to talk about this because I never see anybody mention this game like whatsoever. And now we kind of know the reason why. But even so, that's just my opinion about Star Wars Demolition. Let me know your own thoughts about this game down below in the comments section. Tell me, are you a big Star Wars fan? Do you love the ships of Star Wars? Do you like some of the characters, whether it's original trilogy or prequel trilogy? There's no sequel trilogy here with this one, at least, in this time frame. But anything related to Star Wars or Star Wars video games, talk to me about that stuff down below in the comments. And before I forget to mention, make sure you guys check out the playlist that I have here on the channel for all my videos that are related to Star Wars games or just Star Wars in general. I even just recently did an unboxing for that lightsaber right there I just got, so you'll definitely want to check it out and let me know all of your thoughts down below in the comments section. Thank you very much everyone for watching this video. I appreciate your support and all your good vibes as always. Make sure you hit that subscribe button and hit that bell icon too to support my channel for new videos each week. You could also join my Patreon for early access to brand new videos and other exclusive content. Don't forget to join my Discord server too and be part of the community I have over here. If you're into games, then you'll love interacting with all the great people who are part of it. Thanks again guys, peace out, and stay epic everybody.
Hello, and welcome to Star Wars, a pop-up guide to the galaxy by Matthew Reinhardt. Page 1. After the victory at Yavin 4, Rebel Alliance Command carved out extensive secret headquarters codenamed Echo Base in the frozen surface of the remote ice planet of Hoth. Ultimately, the Empire struck back, determined to crush the rebellion once and for all. An unstoppable ground force of lumbering Imperial walkers known as AT-ATs, all-terrain armored transports, crushed Alliance fortifications despite a brave but futile defense by agile Rebel snowspeeders and a powerful ion cannon. Rebel heroes Princess Leia Organa, Han Solo, and Chewbacca barely escaped in their battered Millennium Falcon from a task force of Imperial snowtroopers. A long time ago, galaxies flared into existence, born of a fiery cosmic event lost in the veil of time. A billion stars scattered across a vast, inky void, spiraling around a roiling galactic core of hyper-dense stars and black holes. Over the eons, a fraction of those solar systems came to contain habitable planets, each with diverse peoples and civilizations. In one grouping of galaxies, there took place a galactic civil war. Almost 2 decades have passed since the rise of the evil empire from the crumbling utopia of the Old Republic. Kessel. The infamous spice mines of Kessel doubled as an imperial prison colony. Ord Mantell. Bounty hunters attacked smuggler Han Solo and his Wookiee first mate on the lawless planet of Ord Mantell. Remote desert world, Tatooine. The harsh desert sands of the planet Tatooine, baked beneath twin suns, scoured by sandstorms and ravaged by the vicious Tusken Raiders, only the most tenacious colonists survived, harvesting precious water with moisture vaporators. Here on Tatooine, a naive youth named Luke Skywalker gazed up at the stars from the moisture farm of his Uncle Owen and Aunt Beru, ignorant of his future role in liberating the galaxy. Imperial Center, Coruscant. A landscape of towering skyscrapers and architecture envelops the capital world of Coruscant. Nestled deep in the galaxy's core, the bustling city planet is populated by billions of citizens. This was the home of the Republic Senate for generations until its abrupt dissolution by decree of Emperor Palpatine. Beacon of Peace, Alderaan. Led by Senator Bail Organa and his adopted daughter Princess Leia, the peaceful world of Alderaan maintained a long tradition of non-violent diplomacy, banning weapons of any kind on the planet. Imperial terror weapon, the Death Star. Codenamed the Death Star, a moon-sized battle station of unspeakable destructive power became the Emperor's ultimate symbol of dominance over the galaxy. Developed in a secret facility within a cluster of black holes, the Death Star boasted a deadly laser powerful enough to destroy an entire planet. Alderaan became the weapon's first and only victim. A squadron of rebel starfighters made a desperate attempt to strike the Death Star's single weakness, an unshielded exhaust port that led to the reactor core. By trusting in the Force, rookie X-Wing pilot Luke Skywalker fired the impossible shot, which detonated the Death Star over the fourth moon of Yavin. Map of the galaxy. The core worlds include most of the populated planets such as Coruscant, Corellia, and Alderaan. Planets of the Mid-Rim include Kashyyyk, Naboo, and Ord Mantell. Tatooine, Nal Hutta, and Kessel lie within the boundaries of Hutt space. The planetary systems of Hoth, Anuat, and Bespin are in the distant Outer Rim territories. Tibanna Gas Colony, Cloud City. Powerful anti-gravity repulsors buoy Cloud City within a habitable cloud layer near the giant gas planet of Bespin. Home to a thriving Tibanna gas mining facility, the isolated metropolis enjoyed prosperity and freedom under the leadership of Baron Administrator Lando Calrissian. An elaborate trap set by the Sith Lord Darth Vader for elusive rebel fugitives introduced an unwanted Imperial presence. Dagobah. Ancient Jedi Master Yoda built a modest hut from the roots of a gnarl tree during his exile in the murky swamps of the planet Dagobah. Sanctuary Moon, Endor. Emperor Palpatine grew restless for an end to the rebellion. He had constructed a second, mightier Death Star near the forest moon of Endor. Aboard stolen Imperial speeder bikes, Leia Organa and Luke Skywalker raced after Imperial biker scouts, dodging the giant trees that surrounded the protective shield generators of the Death Star II. With the help of Endor's native Ewoks, the Sanctuary Moon became the site of the Emperor's ultimate defeat and the Alliance's greatest triumph. I hope you've enjoyed Page 1 of Star Wars, A Pop-Up Guide to the Galaxy by Matthew Reinhardt. And be sure to subscribe to Coffee on Korriban so you don't miss the rest of this 3D masterpiece. And I will see you wherever I happen to see you in the galaxy.
Hello everyone, Ted the Old Star Wars Nerd here on EBN TV, where community happens. All right. And so today we got two more toys for you. Okay, one is well, let's just start off with this. Let me pull it up here. I made a movie of it so I could just kind of talk over it while I'm showing it off. This is my R2-D2 phone. I've got him right here. He usually sits right up there. But here's my R2-D2 phone. So let's kind of go over this real quick. I'll show him off. He's got a little demo button there so you can hear the noises he makes when you call him. And it's really great detail, excellent detail. It's a good size. And here we go. Listen to this. This is what he does when you call him. And his head doesn't exactly turn all the way. Something cracked or missing or broken inside. So I'm not exactly sure what's going on. Need to take him apart and fix it. So I'm going to show you that here in a minute. But here's the handset. You take off. I got it secured with some piece of Velcro because it falls off so easily. And this is just a normal old headset that you see from back in the day. It's got the ringer and the buttons and blah, blah, blah. You know, it's a phone headset. And it falls off, like I say, it falls off there real easy. And it plugs in down there where you put that and then the phone line going into it. And yep, he's, like I say, he's got a good feel to him. He's kind of solid. Doesn't feel cheap, doesn't feel too brittle, I guess you could call it. But yeah, he's got Good features. Sounds good. I love this R2-D2. So you turn him around, you pop off the back. He's run by 2 D-cell batteries, believe it or not. And there's the switches in the back. You can change him from the sound to a ringer, and turn him off and on. You can just turn it off so it doesn't make any noise. So here, I turn it over there and it just makes a sound again. All right, so there is R2. So now let me show you how I fixed him. So I got this here. And what I did was kind of sped up the thing here, pull the batteries out, take the handle off, the headset off so it's not in the way, and find some, had a hard time getting a screwdriver that could take these screws out. But I was able to finally get them all out and get him taken apart. And let's see, I'll put the battery back in here and test it just to see what goes on. So you can see it's working right there. But if you put your finger up against it, if you do any kind of resistance, it would stop. And if you look, I don't know if you can see it when I stop it right there, but it's got a little crack in it, so it's not exactly holding on to that bar as tight as it should be. So you put any kind of resistance on it and that starts spinning. But that wasn't the only problem, come to find out. I also opened it back up, and this gear here I pulled out. It's missing a tooth. Let's see if I can get a good angle on it and see if we can see the tooth missing. See if they're percent. There it is, right there. You can see the tooth missing on it, so that's why it stops, and if you push it, it keeps on going. So what I did was I made some new ones with my 3D printer. So I'm going to show you that real quick. So here is the gear and the handle that I call it a handle, a little spinner thing. I don't know what exactly you call it, that turns R2's head. So I made a new one of those, and I made a new gear. It took me a few trials and errors to get the gear exactly right, and it still kind of clicks a little bit, so I'm probably going to do it again, or I might actually order the gear that you're supposed to get for it. Find a gear, proper ratio. It's supposed to be a 9-tooth gear on top and a 40-tooth gear on bottom. So if you can see, I wrote on that. So, all right, back to R2. Now, I took, there's the piece, I put it inside there. You can see I'm pushing it down in there, and there is the gear in there. And pushing the arm onto the top. So now get it in there and get it in place, and trying to screw it back together. It gave me a little bit of a hard time getting everything in there. My fingers aren't as nimble as they used to be, and oh, I got to solder the wires back onto the motor. They had broken off, so got them stripped and tinned and soldered back on there. So here, let's give it a test. And you can see, look, it spins. And I put my finger on it to stop it, and it just keeps going. All right, so now, got to figure out how to put him back together. It took me a little bit to get him back together, too. Damn wires keep getting in the way. But look, I finally get it put back together. Eventually. There he goes. Nope, more wires in the way. Couldn't figure it exactly out. Then I was like, oh yeah, crap, got to put the legs on. So I get the legs put on. And here we go. Here's R2 fully back together. And let's put the batteries in and give him a test, all right? I can figure out how to put the batteries back in, of course. There we go. Let's put those back in and put the back on. Come on, you can do it. Put the back on. Okay. And of course, now we got to reattach the handset because R2's got to have his other leg as well. Okay, put him back together. Let's give it a test. Watch this. With new parts. Look at that head spinning. Hear that clicking? That clicking's because of the motor or the gear, but yeah, I may have to redo that. But either way, there's that. So I thought that was pretty neat. So there is R2 repaired now. So I've got R2 all repaired now. He does this thing, so he's going to go back up on the shelf now. But at least I know that he's working as good as new. All right, now my second one. It's another phone. And this one is an old one. It has a story behind it, which I'll get to. This right here. Some of you may have seen a Mickey Mouse phone before. This thing I've had since I was like 8 or 9 years old. I can't really remember. But this guy here, we had been to like my cousin's house when I was 8 or 9, and they had one, and I fell in love with it, grew infatuated with it, whatever it is. You know, at 8 years old, you just kind of latch onto things, and I was just loved it. It was just the neatest thing ever, and I kept talking about it all the time, and just really liked it. Mickey Mouse was big in our family back then, and I really wanted one. I guess I kept bugging my mom a lot. I can't really remember what all happened back then, but I do know that during that year, before Christmas came along, somehow or other, my mom went around and she found one. Now, she found this one. It was a friend of hers, and it was all in pieces because they had broken it. And so they had a box full of the parts. So my mom said she got the parts, brought them back home, started looking through, and she was pretty good about fixing things too, her and my dad. But and she found out what part it needed. She called up AT&T because they were the ones that owned it at the time, and got a part for it. It was the hand broke off, of course, the one that you lift up and down right there, that's what hangs it up. So that had broken inside. So she found another piece and got that fixed up, and ever since I broke it once again, and I've fixed it many times, but it's a great little phone. I love it to death. It's one of my favorite things I've got from childhood, and just the way my mom went through the trouble of finding it and fixing it for me. And then she gave it to me for Christmas that year. I was over the moon, I guess you could say. I don't know. It was just the best thing I could have gotten that year. Besides the Star Wars toys, I'm sure I got too. Let's see. If I got it when I was 9, that was back in 78. So no, still Star Wars, no Empire before then. So I probably got some other Star Wars toys too at the same time. I don't know. It was a long time ago. Anyway, well, I hope you enjoyed that. That is my 2 toys for today. 1 Star Wars, 1 not Star Wars, an R2-D2 phone, and a Mickey Mouse phone. I've also got an Incredibles phone. I don't think I have it around here anywhere. Hold on, let me go check. Just a second. Okay, sorry about that. I almost forgot about this. I've got this one too. I've got to clean it up. It's been on the shelf for a while. This is the Incredibles. My wife found this at I think Goodwill one day, and it's just a neat little red phone. It's got little options in the back. I think I hooked it up once after I got it, and it's supposedly, does voicemail and caller ID and all that. But yep, Incredibles, I don't know when it was. Oh yeah, she did get it from Goodwill for $4.99. Anyway, so there you go. Old phones. I am Ted, the old Star Wars nerd, here on EBN TV, where community happens. Take care, and we'll see you again next time. Thanks.
One scene in this first episode that really stuck out to me, it was like the one moment of calm in this episode before the end, where Yoda and all the clones are gathered around the campfire. The lieutenant has just been injured, and Yoda looks at them as like, "Your helmets, remove them. Your faces I wish to see." And then they all take off their helmets, and of course one of the clones is like, "There's not much to look at, sir. We've all got the same face." And then he proceeds to point out how each one of the clones is unique. And I think he also mentions that despite the fact that they're clones, they're each unique in the Force. Mm-hmm. And it just helps give what should otherwise be these soldier drones just that little bit more personality to them.
And there's also one thing I want to mention, kind of going off of what you're talking about. He also kind of points out some of the flaws in some of the clones, where he says to one of the clones, ones that weapons don't really mean anything. You have to outsmart the droids. And then lastly, he says to Lieutenant Thayer that even though that long is the war, he says, and pretty much war is hard, the only way you can really win the war is by surviving it.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a beautiful scene in this first episode, and I love that it's in the first episode that aired because Yoda's pointing out their individuality, and we're talking about clones here, and it's really a lot of people watching probably wouldn't have really thought about the clones that way. What did we see from them? We saw them in episode 2 in Attack of the Clones. It's all the same guy running around. Nobody stood out from each other, right?
Yeah.
And now this very first episode, Yoda's like, you're all individuals. The Force sees you as individuals, and you all have your own destinies, which is great. And that theme carries on throughout this series. And to be honest, some of my absolute favorite episodes in this series are the ones that focus solely on the clones. And we'll get to it tonight when we get to the 5th episode in this run. It's easily one of my top 5 episodes of the entire series.
Right. And real quick, shout out to D. Bradley Walker, the voice of the clones.
Yes.
It's the same voice because they're clones, but just giving them those little nuanced differences. I noticed it especially in the episode we'll talk about later tonight, Rookies. But even in this episode, I'm sure if I went back and watched it and like really paid attention to the clones' voices, you could hear those nuanced differences showing that they may physically be the same, but they're different people.
And I wonder if it was something that he wrote down. Okay, this clone has maybe a little bit of a lisp or says this vowel slightly differently, or if it was just he saw the pictures and just whatever voice came into his head. That'd be interesting to find out.
I think it was a little bit of both, because I saw, and Michael, I'm sure you saw this on TikTok also, a short little clip of D. Bradley Walker demonstrating each voice of the Bad Batch.
Yes, I have. Yeah.
The typical clone voice is more that there's your Rex, there's your basic clone like that, and then Hunter has a covered smokiness to his voice, and Tech is a little more British in his sound, and is very easy breezy.
Wrecker is a big child, basically.
And Crosshair is a coiled snake, so his delivery is more deliberate and ready to strike.
And Echo is closer to the clone, the basic clone voice, but he's often got a grumpier tone to his voice. So because he's not entirely on board with how the Bad Batch does things. Because he's a reg, right? Even though he's an android. So that's
and how he goes about making that voice and sort of his inspiration behind them.
It is D. Bradley Baker.
Oh, D. Bradley Baker. Yes. Yeah. My bad.
He's the star of the show, as far as
he
I'm
is.
concerned.
He really is.
It's insane. There's some episodes where it's literally just him.
Yeah, he's honestly the unsung hero of the Clone Wars, if we're being completely honest.
It's interesting that this whole series, I mean, I haven't seen it all still, but this whole series personalizes the clones, especially these first episodes that we see, but it's all the same guy. It's such a testament to his skill as a voice actor that he's able to differentiate them. And that's the entire point, is they're all the exact same, but they're not. And it's also interesting, this series, I've heard a lot of people complain about the droids having too silly of voices. Why are they not serious? They're too personalized. But it's interesting how even though those are more character focused as opposed to just robots, the clones are so much more personalized and differentiated. So you would think in creating the series they would want to have that stark contrast with the droids being completely if they're down here, sir, we'll find them, but they personalize them. They just personalize the clones even more. And you call it silly, but I don't know. I like the droids in the clones.
Yeah, the B1s.
Yeah.
Silly like
they're
that.
awesome.
I love them.
And there's one line that I wrote down from this first episode that actually got me thinking. I think it was the droid was like falling down a cliff or something, and he says, "But I just got promoted."
It was when Yoda was slashing him up inside the tank.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
So that got me thinking.
that got me thinking, did droids get promoted? Or were they programmed for different positions? I've never really thought about that.
Or maybe they were programmed to think that they got promoted.
Could be, but it's an interesting thought because, like, if you wanted a commander droid, you would just build a commander droid and program him that way.
Yeah.
But that droid says I just got promoted, so I don't know. So
I mean,
we'll explore
droids can and have survived battles, so who knows?
They had their own
Interesting.
battalions and squads and stuff. So there's even some moments in some of the episodes where it's like you got the commander droid, and all of a sudden it gets sliced down, and there's droids that literally look at each other and are like, "Well, I guess you're in charge now."
Yep.
And then they
That was in the first episode of Bad Batch. Well, I guess I'm in charge now.
And also, another note, it's actually not just the B1 battle droids, but in the same episode with Yoda, he hoists up one of the super battle droids and starts shooting him at the others, and he's like, "What's going on? Stop shooting at me. I'm on your side.
I'm having a severe malfunction. Do not shoot at me."
And another thing I do want to point out is there was actually a Lego video game that came out for the Clone Wars, and that mechanic of hoisting up the super battle droid for like a rapid fire was in there because of that scene.
Yes, it was.